Oh, yeah.
Very good.
Fact, we're
Starting this Wednesday?
We already started, but
Oh, you did?
yeah.
Guess we must have.
There
There it is, see, two wheels told you.
Got 30 seconds, Lee.
Use a computer clock, I think you're on. Rock clock, you're on.
Good evening, Mayor.
Yeah, well, that might be nice now.
Call the meeting to order. Michael, if you want to start us with our invocation.
Hey, Father, we're grateful for this evening and for the opportunity we have to meet together and to discuss township business. We pray for guidance in the discussion and decisions that we make, that we may benefit those who live in our township. And we pray for thy protection and these things we say in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
If you join me for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you do roll call for us, Tracy.
Michael.
Here.
Nola. Here. Christie.
Here.
Jeffrey.
Here.
Lee.
Here.
Scott.
Here.
Tracy. Here.
Next, we have the approval of the agenda. We have someone that wants to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Do we have a support? Support. Motion and support, the discussion among the board. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have approval of past meeting minutes from April 8th, 2024. If we have a motion.
I'll make that motion to pass the board minutes.
Motion by Nola. Do we have a support? Support. Support by Michael. Any discussion among the board? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have the treasurer's report. Any questions, thoughts, ideas, comments, concerns from the board and the treasurer's report?
Good job and interest once again.
We'll place that on file. Next, we have the bills. We have a motion to pay the bills.
I make a motion to pay the bills.
And by Michael, do we have support? Support by Christie. Any discussion among the board? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Michael.
Yes.
Christie. Yes. Nola. Yes. Jeffrey.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Tracy. Yes.
Motion passes. Next, we have the fire department report. If you would, chief.
Thank you. 76 calls for service last month. First month has gone quite well with the full-time staff. Getting into a groove, things are all pretty smooth. We're able to get out the door pretty quick. We're just getting back from helping out another department, and you guys were really quick about it, so it's really helped out and made life a little easier for us. We are almost done with the building. There was a recent strike with sheet metal workers, so we're waiting to get our gutters. So the rain falls on it, but it's all right. As of right now, it's doing well. We can't complain. It is what it is. We'll pay that bill once. We have the AC one in, but we're waiting for the final on the gutter, and I don't know when it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be this week, but I haven't heard from them, so I'll contact them again. And then I have a request for consideration in your board packet. I don't want to get into details because it'll pour the living crud out of you. But we have a tanker that's 24 plus years old. At its time, it was the right thing to have. At this time, it's not the right thing to have. It's costing us more money than it is for us to use it. It doesn't fall into our operations the way we do it now. It's just, again, costing us more money. We dumped about 1,100 into it. We still got another, every year we have to pump test it, hose test it. We have to do DOTs on it. To the tune of a couple $1,000s every year. I talked to the manufacturer. They were willing to take it back for a very increased significant cost, which was a little hurtful. Spoke with another gentleman that actually reached out to me because he heard it through the grapevine. autograph, telephone, tell firemen, they'll get all over the world. He called me and offered me substantially more, but at a broker's fee, which it is what it is. We haven't finalized anything until I came to my board. The community that would like to buy it, which is here in Michigan, I don't know exactly where it is, but they have gone to their board to ask for the funds to purchase it to the tune of about 35,000 plus or minus, with us paying a broker fee of 10%, which it is what it is. With that being said, our boat is now almost 15 years old. It's begun to leak as a inflatable. So we're trying to think of some different things out, and what an opportune time to be able to, if we get rid of that, to make our operation better, and then look at something in the future. We're still deciding. We haven't set it in hard stone, but in this area, we believe a personal watercraft is a little better than a boat because of again, staffing and manpower. It's hard to get a boat in the water with one guy. It's an inflatable versus a personal watercraft that we can put in by ourselves. I haven't even begun to look at that yet because I didn't want to do anything until I brought this to you tonight. But I'm just requesting you let me enter into any contract with either the department that's looking at it or the selling broker to the tune of about 35,000. Again, minus 10% usually is what it is for a broker fee. It's still $31,000 level red value. I just need to have those people to sign a contract saying we're willing to do that. We'll keep all the hose, the stuff that will stay on is typical stuff that stays with that vehicle anyway. It's the hard suction we won't use it. There's no place for us to put it anywhere else, and it already has it, so it doesn't make any sense. But the hose is interchangeable. The radio would come out, which is owned by Central Dispatch. All of our personal items would come out of it versus anything that's manufacturing related. But I just ask that you consider letting me enter a contract with whomever I need to enter the contract with to make this happen.
And from my understanding, the trade-off versus the sale will be about a $10,000 difference.
Yeah, if I was just to give it back to the company, they were going to give us between 15 and 20,000. So there's no value for a 24-year-old fire truck. But I also look at it as a department that to them, I did speak with the gentleman. This would replace the 19, I think he said 78.
Wow.
Fire trucks. They're still running. So I got a 68 out back if you want that too. But that's still front line, and that's in today's world, and my ethical head, that's that poor community. And if we can help them out, it's a win to me.
And so it's gonna be sold kind of like as is?
Yep, it'd be as is. There's no warranty. There's no nothing.
Right.
All I have to supply is all of our records, which obviously since my 14 years,
Right.
I can't go from day one because they didn't do record keeping, but from May, which was 6 days.
Oh.
May 17th was the anniversary. But since that day, we've had records on everything. I got all the records, and they were very pleased with the records that we had maintained in the last 15 years. So they were pretty happy with that. But that's it. There'll be no warranty. There'll be no other issue with it. It's just as is. Our name comes off of it. Our plate comes off of it. We transfer the title. That we're done. Pretty easy process, really.
So Chief, you intend to take that money and turn around and buy a new boat?
Either a boat or a personal watercraft, the jet ski. We just don't know yet. We haven't decided. It's something that staff and I are going to decide together. I won't make a decision without the staff. This whole process was about a month and a half before I engaged with everybody in the organization. So it's not my decision, our decision. We have to make it what's going to be best for us.
Is have you looked at the cost of the watercraft?
Anywhere, depending on what you want to do, less than 15,000, I guess.
Okay.
And that would include a trailer and what's called a rescue sled. I was just talking to Jeff this morning. The rescue sled is ridiculously expensive.
Not cheap.
They're not cheap. I don't know why, but it's a little. Basically, it's a boogie board that goes behind that you put the person on. It's pretty easy, but I thought it'd be pretty simple. As soon as I saw the prices, I might have had a heart attack. But yeah, I'm ballparking. The sled would be somewhere around the 2,000 mark. The trailer would be about 1,800, and then the personal watercraft itself would be anywhere between 6,000 and 9,000. So I won't come back obviously until I come to the board and make that
Separate decision.
Yeah,
'cause
way
the
separate
funds
decision.
just go into their fund.
They're just going to go into the. I would assume the general, my general.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know how to put it. So just another revenue and then we'll GL it to,
It'd be sale of an asset and
yeah,
then
we'll put it into a capital outlay expenditure, I'll have to come
Yeah.
for approval of that.
get a budget adjustment.
Yeah, just do a budget adjustment, money in, money out,
do we already have a watercraft?
the both.
Just the boat.
The
Just the both.
inflatable boat
Just
that is
the-
leaking.
And then we probably spent 16 hours, man hours trying to, we seal a leak and another one would start. Again, it's a 15-year-old boat, it
It's
served us well. But
So I move to approve the Route Fire Chief to enter into any contract with sale of the 2000 firefighter T-1260
Freightliner.
Freightliner.
Motion by Noah, do we have a support?
Support.
Support by Christie, any discussion among the board? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Noah,
Yes.
Christie,
Yes.
Tracy, yes, Lee,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Jeffrey,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes. Motion passes.
That's all I have for my report.
Next, we have the planning commission reports, if you would lead.
We met April 30th. There's a couple items on the agenda. Special use and site plan review together for a 2272 North Wind Drive. It was a group daycare. She was already running an existing daycare, but that doesn't, I think up to 6 children. That doesn't have to come through the planning commission. But she sees the need and there's more people asking, so she wanted to go up to the 12, which is permitted by the law, our state law. There were multiple comments from the neighboring people. Some were for, some were against. But it met all the zoning requirements and motion approved. Next was another special use and site plan review for Holton Road. A mini warehouse self-storage facility. It's right across from Reinberg Cars. Neighboring property owners, both to the north and south, had comments and concerns about different aspects of the project. I actually went down with the papers and I don't know if it was out of the norm, but I went down there because I just wanted everybody to know exactly what we saw and to have as much information as possible. Ease any of their fears or concerns. Motion was approved for that. Next was a draft ordinance 2024-01 for home occupations and home-based business. It's just another look at the draft before we actually sent it to the public hearing next month. That was approved. Then there was a added item. There was a gentleman in the audience. He wanted a discussion item for a potential future project and what zoning issues and what else he should be looking at. It's also on Holton Road and 120. We told him we should probably go look at MDOT first for your driveway and the road commission, because I mean, if you do that, you better get looking at that first before we even start talking about zoning issues. So that's it.
Thank you. Next, we have the planning and zoning report, if you would, Steve.
April, we had 18 zoning permits issued. As usual, the most permits were issued for accessory buildings with 8, and then 2 new houses were given zoning approval as well. In regards to enforcement actions, we investigated 19 cases. 5 cases were resolved on their own, and one was resolved through compliance with a court order. We issued 1 citation with a court date coming up in June for that. And then we also have 1 citation currently pending.
Excellent. Thank you. Next, we have the maintenance and ground reports, if you would, Justin.
Good evening. So my name is Justin Grinnell and I'm the new maintenance supervisor. I've been here for my name is Justin Grinnell, I'm the new maintenance supervisor, and I've been here for about 3 weeks here, give or take. And so in the past few weeks, we've made some improvements, and I'm definitely looking forward to improving the community and tackling some of these projects. Definitely looking forward to working with y'all. So bear with me as I'm terrible at speaking. Oakland Cemetery, there's a gate that didn't latch, and I was able to mend that pretty quick. I'm just gonna go through some things that I've done. Everywhere we've mowed, picked up sticks, trying to get everything looking good again. and going to continue to do so. Twin Lake Cemetery, we're working at that. And I'm actually really excited. There's a Veterans Memorial post sign that we're working on fixing up right now. Get that looking for Memorial Day here. And the brush area, I was able to get that cleared, opened up a little bit, and going to continue to do so because I ran out of time that day. But definitely making some strong improvements. At Beagle Field, we had went around, removed all the crack weeds on the basketball and tennis court, shoveled off all the excess dirt all the way around it. I want to pretty soon here fill in all the holes, the cracks within the court itself, and look at resurfacing. And I would really like to get new basketball hoops put in there. I hear that's been 3 years or so, and it's time that we get those in there. There's also the playground equipment there. Did an inspection early last week and found out that there's a ladder that's broke on monkey bars. Tried to fix that, failed, gonna go back to it. And I had straightened a few posts out in the parking lot that appeared to have gotten hit. Let's see here. At Padley, I'm working on trying to get that beach. There's a drain that's been washing out the beach. Trying to get that. There's no longer washed out. I went and graded it, if you will, and it worked for about a few days. So I'm looking at making the drain where it doesn't crack the work. Again, thanks for patience. Up here. Well, let's see here. Thanks. I'm looking forward to working with everybody, and some projects that I have lined up are repainting that sign that I told you about, as well as in my notes, as I mentioned, replace some pieces of fence. Turns out those are actually there intentionally, so I'm gonna put some caps on the end of the post, make it so there's no beehives that get made there. At Beagle Field, fix the monkey bars, continue to improve basketball court. I'm in the process of blowing off the parking area at Beagle Field and painting lines. And there I also had taken out posts to make it more handicap accessible, put some new concrete in between the walkway and the sidewalk. So making things happen.
Good, excellent. And so I will say, in that hiring process, we tried to select for initiative. And Justin started when I was out of the country. So there are two things there. One, Justin did well at jumping in and getting going with it. And then the staff did well at onboarding him, getting him going. And as a general statement, the staff did excellent while I was out of the country. I can tell people tried to not send me as many problems. There were a few, but not bad at all. And if we didn't have problems, life would be boring. So but excellent. You know, I was super happy with everyone while I was gone, and with Justin for this stuff.
Thank you. I'm definitely excited. Again, sorry about my flip-floppy talking here, but I'm excited.
You'll get better at it over time. Next, we have visiting official and candidate updates. If anyone is here that wants to say that they're running for office or update us on some other political organization, you are welcome to at this time. You're welcome to save it for the final public comment if you want as well.
Want me to?
Certainly.
All right.
I gotta know what to say, you know.
So my name is Heather Cooley. I am running for Dalton Township Supervisor. I kind of got up last time and just said, my name's Heather and I'm running for supervisor. So I would like to share a little bit more about what I'm actually wanting to run on. I think Jeff has done a lot of things to make financial situations better for the township. I think there have been a lot of things that have been implemented that should stay implemented. And I think now it's like passing the baton to the next person so that they can move forward and make some other changes. As Jessica was saying, the parks is a big thing for me. maybe because I'm a mom of little kids, that might be sort of selfish, but I think that if you have something, you should keep it nice. You don't buy a brand new 2024 Ford Bronco and never change the brakes, never change the tires, and never change the oil and expect it to continue to run well. Somebody along the road had applied for grants, the park was formed, and then it's been let go over a period of time. We can blame COVID for some of that, but part of it is just the fact that we didn't have the manpower, didn't have the want, and didn't have the money. So with the financial situation being better, I think it's time to spend some of that money. People who pay taxes deserve to see that their community is worth living in, and have those things as services available, instead of us just sitting on their tax dollars. The other thing was roads. I've already gotten a lot of hit back on roads. Looking into what we can do with the road commission. Again, that's something that the road commission has limited people, limited ability. We can only push them as far as they can go. But it is something that I'm gonna stay adamant about. You know, what can we do? What's the next project we can do? How can we help people? I also live on a dirt road, so I get the brining complaints. I get my road sucks, and now I have to get new wheel bearings. I'm there with you. The other thing is my idea on how to handle blight. I think that there is a majority of people who get blight complaints and they just physically cannot do the work. They are elderly, or they're sickly, and they can't get out, they can't clean their yard, they can't do those things. I know that we try to be very patient with people, which is awesome, but I think we should take it a step further. If we could get a group of people together who are volunteer basis that are caring and compassionate and able-bodied to say, hey, let's get together, let's clean it up, let's get it in a place where you can maintain it. Maybe that's something that the board could look into, approving the transfer station for that one-time use, just to get rid of it. I mean, in theory, that helps everybody in the area, that helps tax values go up, that helps, you know, the community look better, and it helps that person. At the end of the day, they feel like the community cared.
Yep.
There are also those people who are gonna look at you and say, this is my yard and my business and my ground. For that, we have the due process. And you can offer the olive branch, but if people aren't willing to take it, then sorry, I tried. But those are the things that I'm campaigning on. I'm passionate about this community, and I feel like I would do a good job. Thanks.
Applause. You wanna follow that?
Not really. Let her go first, have no choice. You guys know who I am, but I'm William Scott. I'm also running for supervisor in Dalton Township. I'm a former township supervisor, but let me go way back before that. Graduated high school in '74 and promptly went into the Army and was honorably discharged in 1976. I'm a disabled Vietnam era veteran. And I started a life kind of community service then. And I'm not going to get into all that right now, but the name William means resolute protector in German. I guess that was appropriately named because I've always tried to protect with union activities, personal care, whatever. I got married, I had two wonderful children, and I became part of the community in Oakfield Township, Northern Kent County. I became a firefighter. I was a firefighter for 13 years as well as EMT. I started when we got paid $5 per call. My first call was 11 days long. It's 1 million tires burning up near Greenville. And that initiated me into the fire services, and I didn't run away. So I rose through the ranks to become a captain, safety officer, engine operator. I've done it all. I cut more people out of cars with the driver's life than anybody else in the department. And 57 ran through our community. And at that time, in the curves by Lincoln Lake Road, I pulled EMTs out of ambulances. I pulled, seen a lot of fires. So then, eventually I left that community. My job, I worked 33 years for the Postal Service, and my job took me to Texas. And while Texas is a wonderful place, I decided when I was ready to retire to come back to Michigan. And I bought my father's house when my father passed away in Battle Creek. I became township supervisor down there, so I have experience. I've experienced negotiating $1 million contracts for police protection, roads. Got along very well. In fact, the last year I was in, every road project that I signed a contract with the county was done. They said we'll do as many as we can. Every one of the road projects were done. We had PFAS involved. Dealt with the state, we got infrastructure going, where everybody had the wells. There's now municipal water. There was no charge to the township for any of the water job that was done. It was done through grants with the state. Not one person had to pay to hook up to the water. They agreed to have their well kept, they could hook up free through grants that were made available through the state. I negotiated, as I said, contracts with the police department, worked on roads, was a supporter of the fire department. In fact, my website, I thought it was gonna be up tonight, it'll probably be up tomorrow. My last name is Scutt, S-C-U-T-T, it will be scuttforsupervisor.com. Fire chief where I came from said I was the only supervisor that ever came out to check on the men on the scenes, not to see if the chief was doing his job. The chief has his job, I don't want it. I've been there, I don't want it. But if it was cold, I brought him hot drinks. If they were on house fires, barn fires, it was gonna be a while, I brought him food. If it was cold out, hot drinks, hot out, cold drinks. His endorsement of me says nobody ever did that before. I don't know what it's like to be there. So I'm going to do that. I would continue to do that. I would be glad to talk to anybody after the meeting. There will be a link on my website to contact me with questions on the yard sign, but I'm not gonna be real political right now. I'm just gonna tell you, I believe I'm the most experienced person. Let me talk about blight. Blight irritates the hell out of me. When I drive through our community, I say to my wife, how lucky we are to live here. We live where people go to vacation. But when you drive through this township, it looks like the armpit of America. I have a blight case across from me that I've been on for 5 years. Supposedly, they're at the point where if they go back to court again, they'll be held in contempt of court, probably jail. I don't know. Let me tell you this very clearly. One of the first things I will do is fire the blight officer. We will have a competent blight code compliance officer that is compassionate. I have another endorsement that will be on my website from the former blight officer where I came from. I took over blight there first. I cleaned up the township, but I did it in a way that I communicate. We offered help. There was something that couldn't. We understand, we're compassionate, but we're also resolute in, we have ordinances. If you have an ordinance, that ordinance needs to be enforced. If you're not going to enforce the ordinance, get rid of it. I learned a long time ago as a union steward, a rule that's not enforced ceases to be a rule. It only makes sense if we're gonna have them, we need to enforce them for the benefit of everybody, for the well-being of everybody. But if your son's out fixing that car in the backyard, we're not gonna screw with them. We're gonna clean up the blight. We all know it needs to be cleaned up. There's a lot of people that are upset about it. I'll take care of it. Again, my name is William Scott, and I would appreciate your support. Thank you.
All right, any other candidates? Yeah, come on up.
I just want
Hold on, I didn't get any applause. All right.
maybe that's a feeling.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kendra Robinson. I'm Kendra Robinson. I've been here before because I lost last time I ran. I ran 2 years ago out for a probate judge in our county, for circuit court judge in our county, and this year I'm running for a probate judge. For those of you who aren't familiar with the probate courts or what they do, it's custody, parenting time, juvenile, family matters, divorce, things like that, neglect and abuse, which is where I started my practice out almost 10 years ago. I'm a public defender in our county, representing thousands of people all over this county every day. And being in that court every single day, Monday through Friday, you see so many inconsistencies. And I'm just being nice with the word because I'm sure we're being recorded here. I can appreciate the people who serve our community. And for people who are voted in, that's what our number one job would be, is to serve. A person coming in should never hear that you wasted your money on your motion, which I've heard. A person shouldn't have a decision on their case before they even get to present evidence, which I've seen. I won't, I know, I want to be a voice for our community, as I am every single day as an advocate. But as a public defender, I motion things to the court. I request things from the prosecutor. On never day, on any day, do I have the final effect of any kind of decision, because I'm not the ultimate fact finder or of our justice system. I love this community. I've been from Port Township for almost 15 years now. I'm a mother of two, well, three. I'm a hockey mom and a whole bunch of other things. But I can tell you one thing I am, is a person who loves serving her community. I would love to get your support. I want everyone to know that if you ever were to be in my court, you may not like the decision that I ultimately give, but I promise it followed the law and I gave you respect while you were in there. And I think that's the minimum anybody who goes in our court should get. So Kendra Robinson, I did pass out some literature to you all. If you have questions, feel free to reach out, and I hope not to see you in this capacity.
Thank you. Anyone else? Are you running for office, McCabe?
Public comment?
Well, it's running for office. Introducing yourself. Hopefully you're not running for office. Are you? All right, anyone else running for office? No, then we're moving on to our first public comment. So if you want to come up now, McCabe, feel free. You can come up here with your public comment.
Agenda right here.
You need a hearing aid?
No? Do we have any other public comments? No? All right, then we'll move on to our first decision item, which is a land sale request on Lakewood Road and Russell Road. And so this is a take two of the same motion we approved last time. A decent number of pieces of property, over 10 acres, where this first policy is being enacted, where we're seeing proposals. And Tracy caught that some of the numbers were off, basically. So she went back through, and Leatherman's here again. He asked me if there were going to be any questions, and I told him I couldn't say what the board would actually consider. But Tracy has just gone through. She has all the parcel numbers listed out with the acreage that's there, all added up. So it's nicely laid out, nice color-coded map. And I didn't want to move on to step two while adjusting parcel numbers. That would have kind of been nice to continue the process moving, but I thought that could have been considered improper. So we're just at the step we were last meeting. Just with parcel numbers correct. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's.
And one of the parcels was county owned, so we pulled that one out.
Yeah.
And I total, there's gonna be a total of 178.99 acres. I don't know if that was of interest to anyone.
All right, so we're looking at same as last time. It's the same number and everything. Do we have a motion on this?
I'll make a motion to approve land sale 2024-2 and use a combination of the true cash value from the assessor and along with market comparables from the realtor to consider setting the minimum bid and move it on to the next meeting.
Motion by Tracy, support by Lee. Any discussion among the board? Roll call vote.
Tracy, yes?
Lee?
Yes.
Nola? Scott?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Christie?
Yes.
Jeffrey?
Yes. Motion passes. No questions, Claire? Next, we have the land sale request on East Forest Park. This is the first meeting for this little map included into your small piece. We're looking on if we want to put it up for bid and what we'll use to establish the minimum bid as well.
It's distracting.
It's distracting.
I mean, I don't mind you guys if you want to talk, but close the door out there, we wouldn't hear you. So this is the first meeting for this property in East Forest Park. It's a very small piece, 0.12 acres. And we're looking at if we want to put it up for bid and what we use to establish the minimum in the next meeting.
Make a motion to approve land sale 2024-04. Use the true cash value and the market realtor value to consider setting a minimum bid for the parcel reference.
Motion by Noah. Do we have a support? Supported by Christie. Any discussion among the board? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Noah,
Yes.
Chrissy,
Yes.
Tracy, yes, Michael,
Yes.
Jeffrey,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
It passes. Next, we have land sale proposal on East Lakewood Road. So this is the second meeting for this. We have these numbers. The assessor's true cash value is $30,185. Realtor comparable value is $35,000. That's basically, that's where it's at. So in her, I didn't include, a lot of times I'll include the full packet of comparable properties in the reference packet. I wasn't including anything else. I took it out for space, although we end up with a cemetery ordinance for the packet that was large anyways. But,
Don't know bid.
but she's saying that some of the comparable properties would have came out a little higher than that $35,000, but there's some below and some above. Because the computer takes an average, so the realtor's basically saying right around $35,000.
How big is it again? I don't see it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's 5 acres.
I didn't include the GIS piece from last month. We didn't last month, but I should have normally included in here again.
I've got everything here.
So I'll make a motion to set a minimum bid of 35,000 above the reference parcel. Open bids at the next board meeting.
We have a motion for 35, support for 35. Any other discussion among the board? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Michael,
Yes.
Noah,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Tracy, yes, Scott,
Yes.
Christie, Steve, Jeffrey.
Yes. It passes. Next, we have water policy. And this was changed by the Water Policy Board. It adjusts for billing, essentially making it a little more flexible so they can change what days they're billing. And I believe that is the only change in there. Is that?
Yeah, that's the only change, and actually that we're going through the ordinance to update it to what they're actually already doing.
Right.
So that's they're already doing it, so we're getting that squared away.
Yeah, because at one time I believe it was done quarterly and now it's done monthly. So,
Which I think is a better thing because that way people will see their water bill suddenly rise. They're like, well, I got a leak somewhere.
Yeah, it is
You know,
helpful
That's really
for
helpful.
both sides too, and you can budget a little bit easier too.
Right, exactly. I make a motion to approve the ordinance change for billing dates in the water policy.
by Nola, do we have support?
I'll support.
Support by Tracy. Any discussion among the board?
Yes, question. So this is providing flexibility to the water board to set the water bill dates.
It's this billing section, that they'll be rendered monthly, due date determined by the policy board
Yeah.
and stated on each bill. Any other discussion from the board? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Nola. Yes. Tracy, yes. Lee.
Yes.
Jeffrey,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Christie.
Motion passes. Next, we have the M120 Christmas tree. So we've discussed this before. It's coming back around, kind of gone through the Parks and Recreation Committee. We contacted a number of companies. The only one that put in a full bid, it's the only one that I think can do the full work vividly, is Jelinek, who we worked with before. It was also recommended from that meeting, from the Parks and Rec Committee, that I reach out and see what kind of guarantee I can get. So I did that through email, and Kyle had stated that if the tree dies within a year of installation, I would be willing to donate my labor to install a replacement tree if the township would purchase the new tree. So that's essentially how far as willing to go on the guarantee.
I had read that they have done similarly sized trees and had 100% survivability, so I think that's a good break right there. so. I'm not even a pine tree, but. For Christmas.
Yeah. Right. The only thing I would add, I was there at that meeting, is that this company's just not gonna plant the tree and walk away. They're gonna maintain that tree, watering, checking on it, and basic maintenance for like 6 months.
Yes.
So I think we're getting a really good deal.
I think so. too. Make a motion to approve the general proposal for replacing the M120 Christmas tree.
Motion by Nola, do we have a support?
Support.
Support by Scott, do we have discussion among the board?
Let it be known, it's not my tree. It's not my personal.
They could be confused.
Yeah, I just want to clear that up. And then,
Don't have an apostrophe, it's not Christmas's tree.
are we okay? Right. That was given by someone, that was planted by, so they're all good with, they're all in on this too?
Well, so we don't really know that, that's been an issue.
They haven't
And-
responded to my letters.
Okay.
Right, I've had difficulties, to say the least, communicating with them. Christie, therefore, the only success I've really had is through sending letters. Christie tried to follow up with a letter before that Parks and Rec Committee meeting to see if we could get something else, because it was stated that they would arrange replacement, which was great, I'll accept that. And we didn't, there's no plaque around it that says the family connection, but we had found that out. And he was supposed to follow up after the one meeting, he took my card, and they were supposed to reach out to me, that was last fall. So that was quite a while ago, that wasn't followed up with, I have no information on it. Christie tried to follow up to get in contact and see if anything was happening, we haven't heard back on that. And so if we wait, it's not obvious that anything's actually gonna materialize. And so it depends then if we wanna wait, not knowing if something's gonna happen. It's a good question, because I have tried to follow up.
Appreciate that.
Good, anything else? Roll call vote?
Nola,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Tracy, yes. Jeffrey,
Yes.
Christie,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Motion passes. Next, we have the Parks and Rec resolution. So basically on this, when I wrote the resolution, wrote it up fairly simply, straightforward. And I stated 4 meetings in there because I thought 4 meetings would be reasonable, largely with the intention of making sure that it didn't fall too far below that. Because we don't want them never meeting if something doesn't come up. The board is a little more enthusiastic, and I should have had you give a little Parks and Rec Committee report in here. I'll have to add that into our.
Somebody failed to turn.
Well, I normally would have reminded you, but you're not on my normal reminder list, so.
So when you're done, I can address a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah, so basically, the board is more enthusiastic than I would have expected about meeting. And I think that is because it's early, right? It's near the beginning, everyone's on a learning curve, everyone has to figure out what that board exactly is, how it's going to function, because it's new, it's just coming into existence. And so we don't want them meeting too little, but we don't want them meeting too much. They certainly don't need to be meeting every month, right?
Right.
That would just be a pure waste of money. At what point you cross the line where you're just wasting money is debatable. Right, so the way I adjusted this in here is that a minimum of 4 times per year, a maximum of 7, including regular meetings and special meetings. So that's essentially the range that I gave them in here, which I think is decent.
And so just a little further information. I think we had our first meeting, the first part of April. And then we had a special meeting at the end of that month to talk about the Christmas tree. And at the first meeting, there was discussion about how often we want to meet. Being a board member, I mean, I'm involved in some of their decisions, but on the meeting schedule, I was happy with quarterly, but I let them talk it over and they felt like they wanted to meet more often. And whatever you guys decide. In fact, I'm almost wondering if I should just be excluded from the vote because I am part of the board.
I guess a case could be made for that. I think it's reasonable to be included, doesn't seem like a major conflict of interest. If you worked for Jelinek and we were giving them a contract, right, then you would certainly have to be excluded. If it was something involving a case about a family member, certainly excluded there. In this case, I don't think it would be a conflict. Case could be made against it, but.
Just curious, how long do you need last for?
Well, our last one was short, but the first one was
2 hours.
2 hours.
2 hours.
And the last one was short because it was only on the Christmas tree.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
all we talked about. And it was pretty easy because we had one bid, and so we made a decision to go with that. Now, it should be noted as well, I know we're backing up and I apologize, but there were numerous outreaches to other companies, but every one of them except for one said that, yeah, they may come and remove the tree, but they're not gonna plant a new one. So we only had one company out of, I don't know, how many, 7, 8, maybe?
I think 9.
Wow.
And I made emails, calls, and sent out letters.
So we did do due diligence to reach out and try to get a good idea, but like I said, we only had one. So, anyway.
Do we have a motion on this? So what are any other thoughts?
I make a motion to approve the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee resolution.
Motion by Nolan,
So stand as it's,
As
like the creative.
as it's written here.
As
So
written.
this is adjusted,
As
this is the
written.
adjusted one.
Adjusted to be no more
Just-
than 7.
Yep,
No more
I
than.
made a range of meetings.
Right.
But I did to be set by the board. And so only item I adjusted.
I'll support.
All right. Motion by Nola, support by Tracy. Any other discussion among the board? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Noah,
Yes.
Tracy, yes. Lee,
Yes.
Michael,
I'll abstain.
Christie. No. Jeffrey,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes. Motion passes. Next, we have a cemetery bench. And so the basic thing here is that someone wants to put in a bench. There are certain exemptions where the board has to be able to approve the exception to the ordinance. This one is specifically written up in that it'll be in line with the other markers. So a little bit, something else for Justin and the crew to weed whack around, but not a huge obstruction is the basic idea. Did you have anything to add to that, Heather?
I did get a picture late this afternoon that I can pass on to you guys. She had gotten a sketch from Patton. So it's actually the 2 markers as the base and then the bench on top of it.
So do the markers already exist? They're already in place?
I thought that they did, but looking back, because this is back from October of last year, I don't think that they're there. I think the one that I'm thinking of is her brother. They own that whole big plot. But either way, it would be on top of the existing ones. We wouldn't allow them to do 2 more markers.
That would be the only thing at that. Correct.
Right, so it would be husband and wife, and then on the top would be the bench, and then they would have their kids' names across it, so.
I make a motion to approve the exception for the placing of a bench over, under consideration.
Motion by Michael, support by Noah. Any discussion among the board? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Michael,
Yes.
Noah,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Tracy, yes. Jeffrey,
Yes.
Lee.
Yeah.
Christie.
Yes.
Passes. Next, we have our discussion items. The first one is a 3% property tax penalty. The way I listed that on the agenda, you don't know if it's going up or down. So Christie had brought up, and you didn't speak to this, Christie, but there's a 2-week period after taxes, basically, where people can still turn them into us, but they get a 3% penalty, and then after the 2 weeks, they go to the county anyways. And she's run into issues where it does appear that it's actually a mail issue. They mailed it 2 weeks beforehand, should have gotten here on time, hasn't. People are obviously objecting to that. The county also doesn't like the little fees that go with them because they want to collect the actual property taxes. And so a couple of different reasons for it. She looked into it, found that other municipalities have a resolution in place that eliminates just that 3% for those 2 weeks. And so we want to have this discussion on if we want to do that. Do you have anything to add to that?
The 3% is what it goes to the township. We keep that. And on a typical year, correct me, Jason, maybe $3,000 to $4,000 in penalty. That's what we would be giving up. I have found that most people that ended up with a penalty had mailed their taxes at the beginning of February or even at the end of January. That still did not get here on time. And by law, I have to take it, or right now as it stands here in Dalton, whenever it comes in the mail is how I enter it.
So, I mean, it's not nothing, it's not a massive amount, but it's certainly not nothing. And we basically have to decide if we want to allow that buffer.
And only because of the resolution, if another treasurer comes in, then she can't change it. The resolution is set by the board, and to bring the 3% back, we would have to bring it back to the board to change it back.
Instead of you being able to make the decision each
Decision.
year.
Yeah, so the resolution is just to protect that and to make a final decision to keep it consistent through the years.
Yes, I'm
I have a few questions. So if we do this and we get away with, or we do away with the fee, like other municipalities are doing, then what becomes the penalty if they're way
They
out?
still have the 1% interest on February 1st from the county that the county charges.
Oh, okay. So
We're
they're
only
still
waiting
March 1st,
on-
February.
Well, February 1st, they get one.
February 14th.
If it's winter taxes.
Not winter, excuse me, summer is, I take that back. Summer taxes still get 1% each month. But then they go to the county March 1st. And theirs is a
There'd still be
4%.
a penalty in place.
Not through us, it'll be gone.
For the summer, if summer taxes are delinquent, there's still a penalty. If, or an interest. If winter taxes, everything's still gonna be due on the 14th. If winter taxes, don't come in by the last day of February, they go to the county, as they always do. That is
Right, they
state
get their
law.
penalty anyway
The only
They
thing
did, yeah.
changes is we're getting rid of the 3% penalty
for us,
for us.
but not for when it goes to the county. We only have that 2-week buffer.
Yeah, the only other change that I could see that would be more realistic if we wanted to keep it is that we use postmark dates. You know, if you dropped it in the mail and it's postmarked on or before the due date and we don't get it for 2 or 3 weeks, that's not your fault.
Correct, but then the deputy and I have to continually change the posting date and remember to do that. It's a changing of when we go to enter it, my computer says today's date. And if that postmark says February 1st, then Amy and I have to remember to do that consistently. And
And I'm not against this. In fact, I'm probably for it, so that would
and
be.
there's not that many people that pay after the 14th. I mean, just a
You're
handful.
essentially you are moving the due date back 2 weeks. You realize that, right?
And
If there's no penalty, you are moving the due date back 2 weeks. Everybody will just pay it 2 weeks later. And then you'll be bumping up with moving into the county and you'll have a whole new problem on your hands. I don't know, I'm playing a little devil's advocate here, but
Sure.
there are
I guess
people.
one of the things that she and I talked about was, you know, if we get too many right up on the deadline, then that makes it busy for us.
Yeah.
And like you say, if they now send it on the 14th instead of the 1st, and we get it March 1st instead of February 15th, it's gone to delinquent to the county versus.
And this is
you know,
only
at
discussion.
3%.
I'm not
Yeah.
set either way. It just,
Well, but if we wanted in for summer, we'd have to have it on next month.
for me to have a committed role to the county by summer taxes, I have to have that penalty in to create a role
Right. So we do kind of have to decide now if we wanted to.
by next month.
Yeah.
By next month.
I mean, by winter, obviously, we have time by then. So, I mean, so where are people at on this? I mean, if it pushes the problem, if it just pushes the problem, and the people that do it right at the end, just doing it right at the end, and it just pushes it 2 weeks, then
First you mentioned it wasn't very many people out.
Yeah, I would-
I like the post.
Okay. I would assume that the vast majority of people pay on time or before.
Correct.
So there's a very, it's a few people that are causing a problem. So it'll probably continue for those people.
So those people that pay on,
Not
they
necessarily.
mail all these, it's the Florida people that are
Oh, I
snowbirds.
see.
They're mailing their taxes at the beginning of the month, but they're not getting to me till after the 14th. They've paid their amount that was billed, but for example, I had a house on Staple Road. It was a $5,600 tax bill. 3% on that is not small, okay? So I had to charge her that and she said, I mailed it. I said, I'm sorry, I received it on February 16th. And I have to collect this. Well, what if I don't pay it? I'm gonna send it over to the county.
The postmark, using the postmark dates would resolve that.
It would,
Makes for a
it
little
would.
more work for you guys.
We just have to remember to do it and put a big sign in front of us.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to that.
That's doable.
I'm not opposed.
It's doable.
All right, so what we have so far is, as far as I can tell, right? So Michael and Scott would like the postmark.
Okay.
Nola and Christy would like the elimination of it, but aren't opposed to the postmark.
Right.
Where do you think?
I mean, that's, the postmark thing sounds like it kind of solves the problem. If it's not that many, I understand, I mean, you gotta pay attention to that, whatever, but it's, I don't know if it helps keep us from going, say, pushing that late date or late fee and collection later and it gets us the county, then that's kind of, I think that's a bigger issue than I think, I don't know that stuff. I would imagine playing with the county is
That's true.
a little bit more pain in the butt than just
So you're doing it
doing
internally?
that.
First.
Where are you at on that, Tracy?
Technicality.
Yeah, postmark, I think,
Change that.
I'm not opposed to eliminating the 3%. I do have the concerns that we'll start to load close to that end of the month and then we don't have time to reconcile. So I think we could revisit to see if it works to eliminate, to see if the postmark
If it resolves
has
some of the
resolved
issues.
some of the issues.
Okay. Krista, do you want to look at if we need a resolution for that?
Sure.
If it makes sense to have that?
Okay.
All right. Next, we have the cemetery ordinance. There's a big chunk of this packet. The amendments are a little smaller than it's there. I read through the whole thing today and my head was spinning a little bit by the end. But Heather, if you would like to go through some of what the changes are.
Read that whole thing, please.
From the beginning.
It's her baby.
Didn't bring anybody dinner. No, I'm just gonna buzz through this. Really, a lot of it was I changed things and then didn't realize that I wasn't supposed to change things without asking permission to change things. So I had to do this, but a lot of it was just changing wording so that it wasn't so legalistic and it was more able to be understood easier because I had a lot of people asking questions about what does this "for art thou" thing mean. So anyway, I changed some of the some of the verbiage in it. So the first one is just wording change. I did in section 3, remove cemetery board as one of our descriptions. We do not have a cemetery board. So that was not something that we needed to have in there. I changed the wording on flower beds and openings just to describe flower beds. I removed township as a description. People are coming into the township to purchase the plots. They don't need to know what the township is. It explains the roles of directly under that of township clerk, supervisor, and treasurer as it relates to the cemetery. Added a couple things, changed burial right certificate, changed the definition of cemetery coordinator a little bit, and added some descriptions in foundation and flower beds. Changed the verbiage of vault. So a lot of that was just for the section 4, sales and transfers and forfeits. The significant thing changing within this section is when we had approved to do the burial rights certificate with the heirs listed on the back. It did not allow for that within the ordinance. So section, in the new part where it's section 3209A and then item 1, gives a little bit of description of that being passed on to the first burial right here. But other than that, it was just verbiage change. Purchase prices and fees didn't change. Just wording, again, like I said, there was a lot of legalistic talk. Maintenance and care was just word change. Corrections was again just verbiage. The others different, I'm just gonna get to the next one that's actually sorry guys, reading material, did you get word? Like I said, I changed everything and then Kristen's like, ooh, you have the original, I'm like, yeah. What did I do? So we have a gentleman who goes and walks his dog every day and has religiously in Twin Lake Cemetery. Apparently, that was against our ordinances. I did not see that actually being an issue as he's watching the dog's on a leash, like he's following what we would have for a park. So I changed it to domestic animals must be properly cleaned up after. Animals must be on a leash or in a proper carrier to allow for that. And other than that, you just have a bunch of papers on word changes. And I took out one thing that said a violation of any permit condition issued pursuant to this chapter shall also constitute a violation of this chapter. And I said, what? So that was gone.
The lawyer got paid for writing.
I said, what? And the constitute and cover and what? Any questions?
If we get invaded militarily by a different country and there's damage to headstones, did you leave in the part where we're not liable?
Yes.
Perfect.
That'd be total.
That's what's in there.
It is in there.
Here's right,
Yeah, catches your eye.
I read it.
We're not,
If there's an invasion or a riot.
we're not covering that.
It's on the burial rights owner. Maintain.
Just in case Canada comes across.
For China through Canada. No.
Nobody's gonna watch it.
Right.
Good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. That brings us to our second public comment. Would like to make a comment on anything? Couple in the back.
Good evening, I'm Bernell Reed, my wife Michelle, we're Twin Lake residents, we do live out to the golf course. Have a couple of requests and or maybe information for me. At the intersection of Sweeter and 120, I wondered what has to happen in order to possibly put in just an overhead light to alert people that that's a turning area. We've had a couple times, I noticed we've only been here like 5 years ago. But I know there's been some accidents there, pretty bad ones, I guess. And also the other day, this was during the day, but I mean, we had somebody passing during an intersection, which I don't know if they teach that in school and in driver's training anymore, not pass during an intersection. But I don't know if it might relieve some of that. And I did came here because I was getting some lights replaced out in the area through Consumers Power, and they said that I needed to contact the township to do that. I put in a request to have them do it, and they said, well, we have to have authorization from the township. You go to Consumers website and it lists all the, you go list all the lights along the
Just the
road.
street lights that were out?
Yeah, I mean, there is not one there
Oh, to put a new one in,
to put it.
yes, it has to go through a resolution through the board and everything.
Okay.
If one is damaged, there is a public website, you can go in and report it and then fix it.
Yeah, they come out, I've done it a couple of times, it works real well, that does, but I would like to request that to happen if we can, or if I need to do anything, I'm not sure, do traffic studies and all that.
Follow up with me after the meeting about the new light,
Okay,
and then I can hit on the Sweeter and 120 lights a little bit, in the fact, and I don't want to be too much of a dampener, but probably not going to happen. There's always a safety study being done in 120. And there probably always will be a safety study being done in there. And there have been a lot of crashes down where you have like Blue Lake / Main Street / Ryerson / 4th Street and M120 / Holton Road, right? All three of the roads have 2 different names. And so there's been a ton of activity push over quite a few years to get a light there, but nothing's going to move on it because MDOT's a state road and the state would have to determine that, and they're not going to determine that based on their safety studies as of now. They're going to continue the studies.
I see. Okay. Second point, Dawson Road and Sweeter. I know that's the township divider. Beside you guys over there is the other side. That is the west side of that. If somehow, you guys have trimmed out there a bit, but I don't know if that could be any cleared any further back towards the west on you guys' side. Then I'll talk to Cedar Creek about trying to get theirs done. But I mean, there's been a couple accidents. We've had some near misses on that.
For the visibility on the corner?
Yeah. It would be the northwest corner, which you guys would have.
And that's a high.
I can inquire with the road commission, so they can only go so far off the road for visibility. So, but I've inquired with them before on that type of issue, and usually they're pretty good at looking at it and doing something if they can, if it's within their jurisdiction.
Sure, okay, well, that's great. I think I actually called the road commission, they took out a tree down. Just about ready to fall in the road, a great big huge oak, so,
Okay.
you know, I know they're good about it. You know, they're just getting funded or whatever, but.
I just want clarification on when you were talking about the light on Sweeter and M120, you're talking about a light that comes on at night.
Yes.
Not a red,
Just
green,
to
and
get-
yellow.
Right. Just a street, yeah, just a street light that would hang over the middle of one.
Understanding, Jeff?
Oh, just to give visibility?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
not
yeah,
a-
any type of like a flashing light or red light or something like that would not be achieved, but a street light might be.
Right.
Basically, how that process will work. You can grab my card in the back or talk to me a little bit after this, but I'll reach out to them and get their opinion on whether they think, consumers, whether they think it would be a good idea to put a light there. And then they'll probably get back to me in a few months, from one of their engineers and say yes or no. I've had it go both ways. I've had them say, yes, this would be a good spot. I've had them say, no, we don't want to put one there. And then from there, we get engineering drawn up, paperwork drawn up, and bring that to the board for approval. And if it gets approved, then they do it. So you might be between 6 months and a year if it goes.
That's fine. There already is one wire running, an electric wire going right across the intersection.
There you
There is power there.
There is power right across the intersection. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Karen's not here. And Rachel Church, your local librarian, Dalton Township branch. Just want to remind everybody about our Wednesday neighborhood night. The Twin Lake Historical Society is going to be there 6 o'clock this Wednesday. Talk to people, good time maybe to do a little campaigning. Maybe fire chief would want to come or something and talk to people. And then the other thing that's happening is next Monday, someone from Senior Services, Chris from Safe Seniors, which you paid your taxes for, is coming out on Monday at 4 o'clock to the library, talking about senior scams. Not everyone is a friend. And so anybody who has had issues, and we watch the news, we've seen people who lost their life savings, all those things. If you have, had someone just in the last couple of days talk about someone in their family who's elderly and they've been getting these phone calls and they've been talking to these people and they had to intervene. So, you know, some good information there for anybody who, and maybe if you have a family member that you just need to bring there because they need to hear it from somebody else. This is a good opportunity for that, Monday at 4 o'clock. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good. Kevin. I've been chosen.
That's for the senior scams.
So you can give my name up to
The neighborhood Wednesday.
Are you trying to scam us, Kevin?
Plan.
Pardon me?
Are you trying to scam us?
Trying to what?
Are you trying to scam us?
Scare you?
Scam.
No, I just wanted to read. I did this background trace on Jeffrey A. Martin. I did this nearly a year ago, also known as Jeffrey Alexander Martin, named on his car. It's at 3080 Maple Grove Road, unit number 269, Muskegon, Michigan 49441. also known as the Shores of Roosevelt Park. It's an apartment complex. Every outside of previous address of 6049 Dalton Road, Twin Lake, 49457, that's his mother's established residence that he's using. So just a little bit of background here to make you know for sure that immediate relatives of Roger M. Martin, Tony R. Martin, and Kristen L. Martin, have been married a couple times. And you have a business ownership of Silverbend LLC. It's not in good standing. And your phone number, 231-220-34.
Bad spirit within.
Cell number 88.
What's the person? Purpose of it?
What are you
What is the
doing?
board, what
Thanks,
action do you
Kevin.
need the board?
What's the point?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
He doesn't live in Dalton Township.
Yes,
Yes, he does.
That's a
Where does the
lie.
mud come from?
That's a lie. You're lying. And you
He
know
tracks
it.
in mud all the time.
And you know it. But you did find an address of a previous apartment that I had. But it's a good lie, Kevin. Good job.
And you're shaking
You're
your
away
head,
from her.
it's away what's inside your heart.
This goes back quite a few years. Correct. It is current. Your current address, your former address.
You follow him
We-
right after a meeting?
We got your, we understand you're a liar, Kevin. We've been here before.
How about this? He's not running again, so he'll be out of office at the end of the year.
Oh, then what, then we
I think he's
can
been voting here though, hasn't he?
Well, I think.
He's right here, he's a
He
resident.
lives here. Oh,
He lives here.
He's the-
Presidential election.
Yes, sir, get ready.
Get ready.
Get ready, Dalton.
Thanks, Kevin.
I make a motion to adjourn. I support.
I supported that too.
We have a motion by Noah, supported by Christie, for question among the board. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Take that with you, mister.
Evans.